In a land of ice sits a fiery volcano full of riches. For those brave enough to climb its 12,000-foot summit in the frigid land of Antarctica, a spectacular world awaits them. As these adventurers reach the top, they are greeted by a massive lava lake. This lake offers a window into the inner workings of one of the most rare and unique volcanoes on the planet. This lake puffs and steams, breathing smoke and volcanic ash into the air so often and so regularly that many have described it as a sleeping dragon. And it would seem that this dragon is sleeping above a storehouse of riches. This is Mount Erebus, Earth's southernmost volcano, and one that erupts over $2 million worth of gold every single year. So our most obvious questions are probably, 1, how the heck is this volcano spewing gold? And 2, how do we get our hands on it? And before you go and suit up in your most incredibly warm winter gear to go mine the gold, there are a couple factors to consider. For one thing, mining it and taking it home would be massively illegal, so there's that. But the gold is also in teeny tiny crystals, and it is spread out over huge distances. Erebus erupts pieces of gold typically between 20 and 60 micrometers in length, which, for size reference, is smaller than the width of a human hair, and 1 micrometer is 1/1,000,000th of a meter. So, small. When Erebus erupts, it sends this gold flying all over the land, and researchers have found traces of the gold in the air up to 1,000 kilometers away from the volcano, which would be a pretty big radius to have to scour to find tiny pieces of gold that are only the width of a hair. Still, the volcano sends up a ton of gold, about $6,000 worth every single day, which, when you do the math then, is about $2.1 million every year. So, not too shabby for a volcano. Even though we can't go and get rich from Erebus and mine all of its gold, there's still so much for us to gain by studying it. I honestly had so much fun researching for this video, and if you ask me, the knowledge that we get is way more valuable than the gold. Or, I mean, maybe I'm just saying that to make myself feel better. I don't know. No, I like the knowledge. Okay, let's get into it. You can probably guess that this isn't a super common occurrence on Earth. For a volcano to be spewing literal gold in the air, there has to be some unique and interesting things at work. So let's take a look at how this is possible in the first place. There are essentially 3 factors that make Erebus unique and contribute to the production and dissemination of its gold. But before we get into that, let's talk about gold really quickly. Gold is, as we know, a rare and valuable metal. But what we may not know is that it actually doesn't originate on Earth. The Earth doesn't produce or create gold in the way that it would create something like a diamond. In other words, gold isn't made on Earth. Rather, the Earth has a store of it. Instead, gold is an element that originated in the stars. We think that when stars go supernova, aka when they explode, gold is created and then launched into space. We also think that gold may be produced by stars colliding with each other. In either case, though, that sounds absolutely epic, and the fact that gold comes out of massive explosions like that is just even more awesome. So the stars do some awesome stuff and send the gold into space, and this gold was actually incorporated into the Earth during its formation. In addition to that, a lot of meteors and asteroids have hit the Earth that carry gold with them from the universe and bring it to Earth as well. Now, the thing about gold that you might know is that it's heavy. So because of this, it sinks towards the area of greatest gravitational pull on our planet, the core. To understand how this works, think of dropping a penny in a glass of water. The penny's going to sink right down to the bottom, and that's very similar to what the gold does. So because of this, most of the gold that we have on Earth is stored in the core and the mantle, the innermost layers of our planet. So now you might be asking, how does the gold that's so far underground get raised and deposited onto the surface? Well, there are a number of ways this can happen, ranging from hot springs to volcanoes to earthquakes and lots more. But for this video, we're going to focus on how Erebus brings it up and disseminates it around Antarctica. As I said, there are 3 main factors that make Erebus unique and contribute to the formation of its gold. And I use the term formation here to really mean the consolidation and solidification of its gold. The first factor is its lava lake, which, by the way, is about 1,000 degrees Celsius, which is the same as 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's a little steamy. Having an active lava lake like Erebus does is actually incredibly rare. There are only a handful of volcanoes in the entire world that have a lava lake like this. This lava lake brings molten rock from the Earth's mantle all the way to the surface and lets it just kind of sit there. The name is very fitting. It is a literal lake of lava. The fact that the lava can just chill at the surface like this is incredibly important, and it brings us to our second factor. In the winter months, the average temperature is around -49 degrees Celsius or -120 Fahrenheit. And it's not exactly tropical there in the summer. I mean, the warmest temperatures are maybe 33 degrees, so you get just a little above freezing. Now, 33 degrees doesn't sound too bad, but then consider the fact that the summit of Erebus is 12,000 feet up in the air, so that's gonna make it a heck of a lot colder. The temperatures atop Erebus are absolutely frigid. I mean, look at this. Like, this is ridiculous. It's cold there, okay? It's really cold. Wind. Conveniently for Erebus, we know that cooler areas of exposed magma can create the right conditions for gold to solidify. For your usual volcano in a reasonable climate, gold isn't given this opportunity to solidify because it isn't cool enough, and instead it just melts. Think about Hawaii or South America. But we think that the freezing temperatures atop Erebus help create the perfect environment for gold to solidify. So in other words, the lava lake exposes the magma to the surface, and then the frigid temperatures of Antarctica touch the exposed lava and create the right condition for gold to form. I apologize for the wind noise, but it's worth it for the view, right? I think so. Anyway, there is still one more factor that is essential for Erebus's fortune, and that is its eruption pattern. Erebus erupts in a unique way. The lava lake remains there constantly in a type of low-level, more chill eruption where it sends up small amounts of smoke and gas. It's not exploding all over the place in the way that we think of our classic volcano eruption. Instead, it has this kind of calm, for a relatively calm, it's a volcano, but kind of calm level eruption where the lava lake sits there and gas and smoke comes up pretty consistently over time. This calm activity dominates most of Erebus's activity, and we think that this gives our little gold crystals time to solidify and grow. You see, gold is relatively common in deep magma chambers, but it is melted into this massive mix of molten metals. Typically, the gold is just shot into the air along with the other metals in lava during volcanic eruptions. But when the magma sits and cools over a long period of time, like on Erebus, the gold is able to go from microscopic, insignificant amounts to larger pieces. Of course, larger is relative here, but the pieces are big enough now for us to detect. The nitty-gritty of how this gold grows is way above my level of expertise. My best guess is that the slow eruption on Erebus gives the lava lake more time to interact with the cold temperatures and therefore more time for the gold to grow, but take that with a grain of salt. The gold that was formed on the lava lake's surface is then sent up into the air in minor plumes of smoke, gas, and ash that are constantly erupting from Mount Erebus. These crystals get launched into the air and are carried by the wind to, well, practically all over Antarctica. It's also important to note that Erebus's calm activity is punctuated every now and again by larger, more explosive eruptions, and this most likely helps the gold travel far from the volcano as well. Diving into the world of Mount Erebus has honestly been one of the most interesting and fun things that I've done for the channel so far. Believe it or not, the gold is only a very small part of what makes it so fascinating and so unique. There are some absolutely sick things going on here that are absolutely awesome, but I couldn't fit it all into one video. So if you want to learn more about the wonders of Erebus, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And if you like this video, please go ahead and leave a like. I did a lot of research for it. It was a lot of work. It was fun work, but it was still work, so I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.